Welcome back to Kindness Stories, where we share the most powerful, emotional, and inspiring tales that remind us of the strength within us all. Today's story is one of shocking bullying, unexpected courage, and a twist that will leave you stunned. Make sure to watch till the end. You won't believe what happens when the quiet girl finally speaks. It was the first week of school at Maple Grove High, and everything seemed normal, or at least it was for most students. For Nia, a transfer student from another state, things were far from easy. She was the new girl, shy, introverted, and with large glasses that always slipped down her nose. She didn't quite fit in. She mostly sat alone, head buried in books, never speaking unless spoken to. She didn't wear trendy clothes, didn't post on social media, and didn't laugh loudly in the hallways. All of that made her the perfect target. The trouble began when a group of popular kids noticed her on the third day of school. Lexi, the self-declared queen bee of the school, spotted Nia sitting in the back row of English class. Lexi didn't like people who were different. She especially didn't like people who didn't fear her or worship her like the others did. Nia, unintentionally, had made the biggest mistake of all. She ignored Lexi completely. Lexi's crew included Brandon, a loud, obnoxious jock who thought he was hilarious, and Tasha, who laughed at everything Lexi said. The three of them decided it would be fun to mess with the new girl. It started with small things: whispering when she walked past, bumping into her in the hallway, mocking the way she dressed. But Nia never reacted, not once. She simply walked on, quietly, like their cruelty didn't even register. And that made them furious. By the second week, they were ramping things up. Lexi tripped Nia in the cafeteria. Brandon accidentally spilled juice on her notebook. Tasha started calling her library mouse. Still, Nia said nothing. Not a word. She would just wipe her glasses, pick up her stuff, and go on with her day. She never told a teacher, never cried in front of them. Her silence was unnerving. Then, one day in English class, everything changed. It was Friday, the last period before the weekend. The classroom buzzed with restless energy. The teacher, Mr. Daniels, was handing out a quiz. Students groaned and opened their notebooks. Nia sat quietly in her seat by the window. As always, Lexi, Brandon, and Tasha exchanged grins. Today was the day. They had planned it all week. As Mr. Daniels turned to write something on the board, Brandon pulled out a small bottle of black ink from his backpack, the kind used for calligraphy. He passed it to Lexi under the desk. She uncapped it carefully. Trying not to giggle, Tasha leaned forward, watching eagerly. And then, without warning, Lexi turned and dumped the entire bottle over Nia's head. The thick black ink poured down her dark curls, dripping onto her white shirt, staining everything. In its path, the class gasped. Someone shrieked. Mr. Daniels spun around in shock. But Nia didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. She reached up, calmly wiped a stream of ink from her cheek, looked at the mess in her hands, and then did something that froze the room. She rubbed the ink deeper into her hair, slowly, deliberately, as if it were shampoo. Her fingers moved through the black mess with purpose. Her head bowed, her face unreadable. The class was silent now. You could hear a pin drop. And then she looked up. Straight at Lexi. And whispered, loud enough for only her to hear. Now. Watch. Lexi's smug smile faltered. Nia stood up. With her ink-covered hands. She calmly picked up her bag, walked to the front of the class, and handed Mr. Daniels a slip of paper. It was a hall pass. He was too stunned to speak. She nodded, turned, and walked out of the room. Everyone sat frozen. No one laughed. Not even Brandon. What happened next would be talked about for months. That afternoon, an announcement came. Over the intercom, Lexi, Brandon, and Tasha were called to the principal's office. Half an hour later, whispers started spreading like wildfire. Nia's parents were there. So were the district counselors, and there was a video. A very clear, high-definition video. Turns out, Nia had been recording everything for days. Every shove in the hallway. Every cruel word. Every drop of juice. Every snide comment. Every laugh at her expense. She had a tiny camera stitched into her backpack strap. The school's tech club helped her with it. She had joined quietly on her first day. Turns out she wasn't so alone after all. When Lexi poured the ink, it was the final piece of evidence. Asterisk by Monday, Lexi, Brandon, and Tasha were suspended indefinitely. The video was shown to their parents, teachers, and the entire student body during an assembly. The principal didn't hold back. She spoke about bullying, harassment, and the power of silence. How strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet ones who fight the hardest. Asterisk, but that wasn't the end. Asterisk because Nia had more to reveal. Asterisk, she walked up to the stage at the assembly wearing a clean outfit, her hair still faintly stained with ink, and looked out over the sea of students. Asterisk, she picked up the microphone and said, quietly, Asterisk, you thought I was weak because I was quiet, because I didn't fight back the way you expected. But silence doesn't mean surrender. Asterisk, she told them how she had moved schools because of bullying at her last one, how she had promised herself that if it ever happened again, she wouldn't run. She would stand her ground, but in her own way. Asterisk, her speech was only 3 minutes long, but by the time she stepped off the stage, there were tears in the audience. Asterisk, she became a symbol of quiet strength. Asterisk, people who had never spoken to her before came to say sorry, to shake her hand, to sit with her at lunch. Even teachers looked at her differently. Asterisk, she joined the debate team, not because she loved arguing, but because she finally wanted her voice to be heard. Asterisk, in irony, Asterisk, Lexi, once the most feared girl in school, never showed her face again. Rumor had it she transferred to a private school 2 towns over. Brandon and Tasha served out their suspensions and returned muted, cautious, and avoided by everyone. Asterisk, as for Nia, Asterisk, she didn't become the most popular girl. She didn't suddenly throw parties or start wearing designer clothes. Asterisk, she stayed Nia. Asterisk, still a little shy, still soft-spoken, but no longer invisible. Asterisk, she found friends who valued her for her courage, her honesty, her quiet strength. She started a kindness campaign at school, using her story to help others who felt powerless. The school even created a support group, led by students for students. Asterisk, years later, she would return to that school as a guest speaker. She stood in the same gymnasium in front of a new generation and told them her story again. And when she finished, she left the stage to a standing ovation. Asterisk, because people remembered. Asterisk, they remembered the quiet girl with ink in her hair who whispered, now watch. Asterisk, and then showed them all what real strength looked like. Asterisk, let this story be a reminder. Bullying doesn't always come with bruises. Sometimes it comes with whispers, with ink, with silence. Asterisk, in strength. Asterisk, it doesn't always shout. Asterisk, sometimes it whispers back. Asterisk, thanks for watching Kindness Stories. If this story moved you, touched you, or reminded you of someone who needs to hear it, share it. Let's keep spreading awareness, kindness, and courage, because you never know when someone is fighting a silent battle, and how your kindness might just be the light they need. Asterisk, until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and remember your story matters. Asterisk.